Hi, welcome back. This is Julie Ulrich, and I'm here once again to talk about horses, which is my favorite topic. Today, I'd like to talk about teaching. If you're a teacher, this will be interesting to you, but it may not echo your own vision of teaching, but it's my vision, and I would like to talk about it. If you're a student, you should be interested in it also because how you're taught has a lot of effect on how you ride and how you get your education. So here I go. The first important thing is to know what motivates you to teach. That's a very important point. Well, I know what motivates me. I'm motivated by two things. One is if I explain carefully to a student and I make it seem palatable, all this work that you go through to be a good rider, there's a good chance that I might be able to open the doors to somebody else to enjoy the life that I have enjoyed. I've had a whole life of horses. I'm not tired of it at all. And I'm glad of every moment and every horse I rode. And I think that if I can encourage someone else to lead that life, it's like giving something, it's like a gift. So that makes you feel good to give a gift. The second thing that encourages me to teach is that when you teach, if you teach well, the student that you teach is quite likely to go on and teach that material again. And if so, that means that the spirit in which you teach will be existing long after you're gone. And the equestrian world, well, everyone right now is complaining that there are no trainers being formed. There are no real horsemen being formed. Everyone is a competitor. And the horse is what is used to compete. And they're all complaining about it, that there are no more barn kids that are in there just because they love horses. If you teach it, why then it can be spread and it must be taught. If you train a really good horse, the problem with leaving that as your legacy is that the horse has only one lifespan. And when he's dead, I know that you don't want me to say this, but he will be forgotten. There may be movies of him. We see movies of Milton and we see movies of Gem Twist, but it's not the same. What you can do to prolong the life of the equestrian world is to teach well. Those two things are what motivates me, but that isn't what motivates everyone. Let me tell you a story about a conversation I overheard the other day between a man, very successful CEO, big businessman, had made a lot of money, and he was talking with his daughter who had just graduated from college, and I think she had her MBA, but she had a very good diploma and was ready to go out and, in his mind, make a good living. And she wanted to teach riding. And he said, "Oh, Linda, come on. With that education that I paid for, you're capable of pulling down a very good salary. And why don't you go out and get a real job and go into the business world like I did?" She said, "Dad, listen, do this math. I have 7 students. If I can get those 7 students to take 4 lessons a week, each of them, if I can somehow make it so much fun for them that they take 4 lessons a week, and I take them to a show at the end of the week, I can get them all to take one more lesson before the show early in the morning. So I double my income by getting a lesson fee and day money. Do the math, add that up. I get $100 a lesson. I'm earning as much as I would be earning in an office, not doing what I like. And I can make all the money I need to do. All I need to do is to convince those people to take a lot of lessons. This is not good motivation because this motivation is money. And you see, in order for her to make more money, this child has got to slow down the progress of her riders so that she can teach more lessons to get them to the same point. She's got to overcomplicate the little details until she can use a whole lesson to teach that detail and therefore earn more money. That is not good. All right. So remember this story. Now I'm going on. You start teaching a young person or even an older person, when you start with a new student, you have a certain amount of foundation that has to be laid. You have to teach them how to sit, because if you can't sit, then the rest of it is not going to happen. You've got to teach them the aids, the hands, the legs, the voice, the stirrup, etc., the balance. You have to teach them all these fundamental facts. And then, even more importantly than the aid itself, you have to teach the timing of the aid, because without the proper timing, the aid for the depart to the gallop becomes the aid to step sideways. That if you do not know the rhythm of the aids are sometimes incomprehensible to a horse. After you have taught that, you begin to teach the rider gymnastics over fences, not just one jump, but a combination, gymnastics, cavaletti, things that will improve the horse that they're on and that will improve his structure and his muscle and his clarity. You also can teach sequences of movements in flat work or dressage in order to improve the horse's muscle, his balance, his suppleness, etc. As you proceed along these things, something is going to happen. And I'll tell you what, because this is what makes the joy of training. This can happen unexpectedly, so you have to be expecting it. I'll tell you one sign. You teach a rider to do a flying change and you leave and you come back the next week. And when you come in, this just happened to me. He said, Julie, before you tell me what we're going to work on, I want to show you something. I want to show you. Come out in the indoor arena. Watch my horse. Don't say a word. Just watch this. And he had warmed up the horse a little bit before I got there. He took the canter. He cantered across the diagonal. And he did not one flying change, but he did 3 every 4 strides. And I said to myself, oh my gosh. At the end of that last lesson that I taught him, I told him a story about somebody that was having trouble doing flying changes every 4 strides and why. I never told him to do it. He wouldn't be ready for that. I never told him to do it. I came back and he had gone on without me. When you go skiing, you get in that little car and you have your skis in your hand and your gloves are on and your hat is on, got the good parka, everything is ready, and you can hardly wait for the car to take off and drag you up to the top of the mountain where you will ski down. If the car is a cable car, the cable will suddenly take it. If the car is driven by cogs, they start that rolling track and the cog grabs a hold of your cart and suddenly, boom, the cart takes off with you. And without any effort on your part, you're being dragged to the top of the mountain. It's a good feeling. When you get there, you will ski all the way down. This is what happened to that rider. That rider went on without me. I did not teach him to do flying changes every 4 stride, but he got to thinking about the story and he read the next chapter in the book without me. That rider was like the little cable car that suddenly took off without me, and he ran away with me. He went up the mountain, and it was amazing. This can happen. It has happened to me with a 12-year-old girl that I won't name, but you probably might know her. It had happened to me a couple of weeks ago with a 60-year-old guy that always thought he was a bad rider. And I was explaining something, glancing at the ground, walking around, searching for my words in French. And I turned to look at him to see that he was listening to me, and he was staring at me. And I said to myself, before he was hearing me, and now he's listening to me. He's trying to listen to every word spoken or unspoken. He's trying to interpret what I say, because this rider has suddenly caught on. He's taking me to the top of the mountain. He is now motivated. The other morning, I got a call at 6 in the morning. Now, according to Safe Sport, I'm not supposed to accept this call, but I got a call 6 in the morning from a student, and it was Kevin. I could see on the phone it was Kevin, and it said, and I answered, I said, Kevin, it's 6 in the morning. Yes, he said, I'm in Helsinki. Really? Yes, I'm in the schooling area at Helsinki. And I said, why? And I said, because you have to ride my horse in the morning before the class. And I saw you last week, Julie, doing a pirouette on this horse. And I've never done a pirouette. But I got here and I'm riding around and I just decided I'm going to try a pirouette. He said, I saw how you did it. I know how you presented the horse to the moment I did the pirouette. And I can't tell you what this means to me. I had to stop everything and call you up and tell you that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I did a pirouette and I copied you and I did it exactly right. And that made a huge difference to me. This is a rider who's caught the cog now. He's on his way. and there's a reaction to this moment. It may have happened to you in some other way, but those are ways in which it happened to me. And I know what that moment means. And I know that there are two possible responses to that moment. And the right response will create something, and the bad response will stop it in its tracks. Go back to that girl who needs to make money. She would say to any of those people, wait, don't make flying changes every 4 strides. You're not ready. You don't know how to do it. You're going to mess it up. You're going to go too far. That isn't what I taught you. You wait, and I will teach you in a lesson how to do that. Don't get ahead of me. She has to do that because otherwise she loses money. So she cannot reward that moment of initiative. I know the right response when someone steps ahead of you. I don't care if they're 12 years old. When they step ahead and take off without you, the proper response is to step back, not forward. Step back. Because at that moment, the rider has a possibility of becoming more than just a student that you're pushing along the thing. This rider is now taking you. This rider becomes an associate, a collaborator, a fellow horseman, and possibly a protege. So they take off without you. Are they going to mess up? Oh, yeah. Did you? They're certainly going to mess up. They're going to make mistakes. But when they make a mistake and they get in a mess, who are they going to call? They're going to call you. So I get more calls and they say, Julie, I went on with what I was doing and I messed it up completely. And now I feel that I've lost it. The horse now changes leads in front before he changes behind. Can you come over and put us back to where we were and show me where I went wrong and explain this to me? I'll be right over. I'll be right over. Because that person now becomes close to a protege. That person is now going through what I went through. And now we are alike in our outlook. This is much better than a student who is dependent upon me and will not move off on his own. In this way, the little girl who wants to make more money, she makes more money. And me, I'll make less money because I take a step back. But you see, I don't do this for money. I said I don't do this for money in front of somebody the other day, and they said, they were worried about me. Julie, they said later, you get paid, don't you? I said, sure I get paid. That's not the issue, but I don't do it for money. Because there are moments when I step back. And when I step back, this represents to me the greatest joy in teaching that could happen. Because it was proof that the student became so involved in learning and inspired by something I said, I don't know what, but inspired that they took off on their own. That to me is the real joy of teaching. Is that too intense? Is that so far from what you think of? It's surely unrealistic because most people are in it for making money. I'm not. So I think it's a good thing to say it because in that way, you may not do it that way, but it's in your head now and you're thinking about it now. And I've said it and I put it out there. And possibly someday you will say, wow, this rider just clicked on and I see it. He's only 8 years old and he did something on his own. My idea should be to step back a little bit, encourage him, and then we go on, but a little bit in a new way. All right, well, thank you for listening to this. I depend upon your feedback. I wrote a book, and the book is going to come out in October. You can read probably more of this kind of thing. But right now, I'm looking forward to your feedback. Read it look at it on YouTube, press all the right buttons, subscribe to it, but get back to me and tell me, what do you think about this? Thank you for watching. Bye.